Come on in if you are watching on YouTube or even the Temple with Abraham Facebook, which we decided to throw on today. We're going to be doing less and less of that. But there's a log jam at the door, so we are going to start about 2 minutes late. Come on in, everybody. Please find your seats. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us at our Temple with Abraham Shabbat morning services. Mazel Tov, of course, to Maya Engel, who will be becoming Bat Mitzvah today, leading almost the entirety of the service. For those who are here watching live, thank you for sitting in your appropriate pods with your social distancing. Whether you can sing at worship services is still somewhat of an open question, but we've decided, yes, you can sing with your mask on, just not like full-on projection, all right? Just sing quietly, but if you would like to daven along with Maya or in those brief moments with me, absolutely feel free to do so, just a little quietly. That can be difficult for some of us, but that's the plan. We are going to begin. I'm going to be just expressing how good it is to be together as a people today. Matovu, page 68. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Very abbreviated Psukei de Zimra and Birkat HaShachar today, but we ask you to please rise for the part we're going to be doing right now on page 73. Please rise. Our morning blessings. Baruch atah l'machalam asher natan l'sefi v'nalef ben yom ben layla. Baruch atah l'machalam shasani b'tzalo. Baruch atah l'machalam shasani Yisrael. Baruch atah l'machalam shasani ben chorim. Baruch atah l'machalam pakech ivrim. Baruch atah l'machalam avish arumim. Baruch atah l'machalam atir atzurim. Baruch atah l'machalam zokef kufim. Baruch atah l'machalam akarat alamayim. Baruch atah l'machalam shasali kol tzarki. Baruch atah l'machalam amechim tzarek gaver. Baruch atah l'machalam Moshe Yisrael bigura. Baruch atah l'machalam Hotei Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah l'machalam Hanoten le'ayef koach. And we may be seated. We jump to page 134. 134. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 El Bikodsho. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Birki Yahuzo. Hallelujah, 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 Bivurotav. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Kerov Gulo. Hallelujah, 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 B'tei kashofar. Hallelujah, hallelujah, B'nevel v'chinor. Hallelujah, 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 Hallelu, hallelu, betofu machol. Hallelu, hallelu, b'minim ve'uga. Hallelujah, 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 b'tziltzalei shama. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tziltzalei trua. Kol, 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 hanshamate hallelujah. Kol hanshamate hallelujah. Kol hanishamate hallelujah. Hallelujah. Kol hanishama te hallelujah, hallelujah. All right, we are going to jump now to page 143. 143. The soul of all the living shall bless your name. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha. Yidmelach, umi yeshvelach, umi yaroch lach. Ha'el ha'gadol g'bar elyon k'nei shamayim va'aretz. Nehalelcha, v'nishpechacha, v'recha nevrechet shem kodshecha, k'amor lariv barchi nafshi et Adonai, v'chol kravai et shem kodsho. V'abotatim oduzecha ha'gadol b'kod shemecha, ha'gibor l'netz v'norotecha, ha'melecha yoshev al kisei, ram v'nisa. All right, so in a moment we will be beginning our Shacharit service, which will be led by Maya. Now we're going to move where the parents' talk would have been. All right, we're going to move that to just a little bit later because we're waiting for a couple people, I think. So, but we're not waiting for you, Maya. So I want you to come up, and I want you to. You're gonna put your talit on now. So actually, Angela, why don't you come and just give her the talit, but you're going to save your remarks for a little bit later, okay? So Angela, come on up. Also want to say, I know this seems odd, we're recording everything, it's going out, streaming to the internet, but that is not a license to take pictures during the ceremony. We're still trying to retain the integrity of, modicum of halakha and just the atmosphere, right? This is a moment we want you to live in. So please make sure all your phones, cameras are turned off and put away. All right, so they're just gonna show you the talit, you're gonna put it on, and you need to say the blessing. But again, remarks will be just a little bit later.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher ishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hitatech b'tzitzit.
Amen. All right, so Angela, Don, you can go sit down now. And Maya is going to lead us on page 149, Shochen Ah.
Shochenak maram v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim b'Adonai le'yisharim nava tehila b'fi yisharim titala u'difrei tzadikim titbarach u'vilshon chasidim titromam u'vkerem kedoshim titkadash u'makalot ribavot amcha b'et Yisrael. Yishtabach Shimcha Le'ad Malkeinu Brachot v'hodot me'atah ve'ad olam Baruch atah Adonai El malchato v'tishbachot El ha'odot Adonai niftaot Abocher v'shirei zimra Melech elchei ha'olamim.
Page 151.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei rabbav Ve'ama divrach yurteh, ve'amlech malchuteh, b'chai echonu v'yom echon, u'chayedecha beit Yisrael, b'gala uzman kariv, v'imru amen. Rabba mivorach, le'olam amei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yinaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalach shmei nekudisha v'richu. Leila min koverchata v'shirata, tishbechata v'nechemata, damiran v'ama v'imru amen.
Please rise for the call to prayer, the Baruch Hu, 152.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or u'borei choshech, oseh shalom u'rei et hakol. Ein kerkecha ve'ein zulatecha, efes piltecha u'midom elach. Ein kerkecha ve'ein zulatecha, efes piltecha u'midom elach. Ein kerkecha Adonai Eloheinu b'olam hazeh, ve'ein zulatecha malkeinu b'chayei ha'olam haba. Efes piltecha golim limot HaMashiach, ve'ein melech HaMashiach l'tfilat hametim. El Adonai kol ha'ma'asim baruch u'barach b'fi kol neshama godlo v'tuvo malei olam dat u'tvunaso v'vimotav hamitgael chayot hakodesh v'nedar b'chavod ha'v'lehava zechut u'mishor livnei chisav chesed rachamim livnei kevodo tovim meorot shebara Eloheinu yitzaram bedat bevina uchaskel koach ugvura natan lahem liot moshlim bekerev tevel v'leim zivum vikim noga na'ezim b'chol ha'olam zimechim b'tzeitam b'sasi b'voam osim be'em ha'retzon kol dam pe'er v'chavod notnim lishmot ola verina l'zecher malchuto kara l'shemesh v'yizrach ora v'hikim surat havana shevach notnim lo kol tzivah mahal tiferet u'gedula serafim ve'ofanim v'chayot hakodesh le'el asher shabbat mikol ha'ma'asim.
Page 159.
Titbarach surenu malkeinu v'go'aleinu borei kedoshim yishtabach shimcha le'ad malkeinu. V'hulam potim et piyam b'kedusha u'tohara b'shira u'zimra u'barchim u'shabchim u'varim u'maritzim u'makdishim u'mamlichim et shem ha'el ha'melech ha'gadol ha'gibor v'hanora kadosh hu v'chulam mekablim alehem al malchut shemayim ze mizeh v'notnim reshut ze lazeh lehakdish le'otzram b'nachat ruach v'safa v'rura u'v'nimach u'mishach u'lav kechad u'nim ve'omrim be'ira kadosh 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 Adonai Tzevaot melech ha'aretz kivodo. והאופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מנסים לעומת שרפים לעומתם משבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו לאל ברוך נמות איתנו. Or chadach חדש על ציון תאיר, אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות.
Amen. 163.
אהבה רבה אהבתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ותרחמת עלינו. אבינו מלכנו, בעבור אבותינו, שבטחו בך, אבינו מלכנו. ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו תלמדנו, אבינו הרחמן, הרחם עלינו. ותן בליבנו להבינו, השכיל לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות, ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה. והארננו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, כי איש השם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו. נגילה ונשמחה בשורתך, והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו. כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו בחרתנו קולם בלשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול. סלע באמת להודות לך, ויחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בני ישראל באהבה.
All right, we're going to be on page 165 for the Shema, which will be led by my sister Anita Engel and cousin Layla Cashnow. 165.
הדברים האלה אשר אלוהים מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם בלבביך ודברת בם ושיתך בביתך ולבבך בדרך ושוכבך ובבניך ושרת לראות והיו תותפות בעיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Yasher Koach. We continue silently 167 through 169.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Amen.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. אמת ויציב ונכון וקיים. לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים, וכיסו נכון ומלכותו, ואמונתו ליד קיימת, ורב חיים וקיימים. אמת שעתהו אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, מלכנו מלך אבותינו, גואלנו גואל אבותינו, יצורנו שישתנו, פודנו מצלנו לפני עולם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו עתהו מעולם. תהילות לעליון, ברוך ומבורך, משה ובני ישראל לך אנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם.
173.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם דעו וחימלכו, ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובני חנך יהודה וישראל, גואלנו אדוני צבאות שבאות, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
We begin the Amidah out loud together on page 175.
Adonai, sifetech itach ufia tehillatech, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot, Umevi Goel Ibnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Nagi Abraham, Ufokei Tzara, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Meitim, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Meitim Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Givurot, Umidom Melech, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'neman atah lehachayot Meitim. Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hameitim. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ כבודו. אז בקורש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנסים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו תמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך, כי מחכים אנחנו לך, מתי תמלוך בציון, בקרוב בימי עולם בעת תשכון, תתקדע ותתקדש, בתוך ירושלים עירך לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים, בינינו תירנה מלכותך כדבר האמור בשיר ועוזך, על ידי דוד תשיח צדקך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי יחציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדישך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי עמך הדור וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue silently, pages 181 through 192, finishing the Amidah, whichever language you're most comfortable. Also a good time for private prayer and meditation. When you're finished with that prayer, you can sit down. We turn to page 193 for the Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויקדש מרבה, ועמד יברך ירתה וימלך מלכותה, וחייכון וימכון אל חיי דכל בית ישראל, והגלה בזמן קריב וימרו.
Amen.
יהי שמר מבורך, לעולם ועולמיה יברך. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ישרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתלוש מאת הקדושה בריחו לעולם ינקוב בחטא ושירתה תשבחת בנכן מטה אדם ירן ועמה וימרו תתקבל צדקנו ואותכון דכל ישראל כל דם ומהוני וישמעיה וימרו יהי שלום רב מן שמעיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו יעשה שלום ברמה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל וימרו.
Amen. Yasher Koach. But you can't really relax right now because much more to do, much more for you to do. At this time, we're going to call upon your parents, Don and Angela. They're not going to present you with Talit. You already have that on, but I want you to just move to the sort of right there. And Mom and Dad are going to say a few words to you. Actually, yeah, move a little left. Yeah, that's good. And you are required to listen intently. which might be harder than davening, right?
Oh, the speech? For sure.
For them to listen,
Yeah.
for her to listen to you,
Oh,
your
yeah.
parents.
That's well, I just wanted to say we got this in Israel. I think it's been 3 years now in preparation for this day. It's very exciting that we are finally here. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for making it in person. So exciting to see everybody. I wish I took more theater classes, because this is the hardest thing I have to do here. Maya, I love you. You're absolutely wonderful. And you really got it going on. This difficult year, you have quite a list of achievements. You put on some fabulous plays. You finished up 7th grade with distinction and honors and quite an achievement. And you're one who leads by example. So where do you go from here, right? Well, let me tell a very short story. I'll try and make it quick. It's a story we all know. So I'll paraphrase. Once upon a time, there was a man who lived with his lovely wife and 3 beautiful daughters, the full catastrophe. And due to COVID, they were all trapped in a little tiny house. There was bickering and crying, just a big balagan. So the man put on his mask and he went to see the rabbi and for some help. And stop me if you've heard this one before. Actually don't, that's all I got. Okay, so the rabbi asked him, he said, do you have some chickens? And the man replied, well, as a matter of fact, I do. We do. Well, bring the chickens in to live with you in the house. Shocked and dismayed, the man complies. And now there's yelling and screaming and crying and carrying on and clucking. So repeated trips back to the rabbi to complain and resulted in sheep, goats, and ox added to the mix, and obviously making the situation much worse. Now it's just complete pandemonium. Tohu vabohu. Anyway, finally the rabbi instructs the man to remove all the animals, and ultimately the man is left right where he started with his lovely wife, 3 beautiful daughters, the yelling and the crying, but he is content. He is happy. So why do I love this story? Well, it's comical, but it's a little deep. The man, why is he content? Not that anything has really changed in his life, right? But the rabbi helped the man better his life by expanding his limits. It's mind over matter. It's his mindset that changed. And we realize that we all have this intrinsic ability to take on more tsuris and more balagan on one hand, but on the other hand, more chayim, more life. So, why do I tell this story? The idea here is, you've done so many great things up to this point. You're so fantastic. I mean, even this morning, you were so relaxed. You're helping everybody out. You had it just completely wrapped up and tied up together. But never give up. Keep on pushing. Show the same perseverance as this man and keep on coming back for more. Keep leading by example. Keep your Zoom camera on. And keep pushing those limits. Do good and go be great.
That was good. Okay, mine's a little different tone, so just that's what I love about you, Don. Okay.
Compliment.
All right, Maya. Ambition, a strong desire to do or to achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. Maya, you are ambitious, you embrace the work, and are determined to break through any barrier that possibly could stand in your way. Studying comes naturally to you, and preparing for this day was actually just in your nature. Your Torah portion, Behalottecha, from the book of Numbers, describes the Israelites' journey in the desert. They were guided by God as a cloud by day and fire by night. You will address the congregation both here with a close number of friends and family, and many more who are joining us virtually today. Maya, what does it feel like going through a world pandemic as a 13-year-old girl? Surely I cannot understand. And you have made this quite clear as we are living, working, studying in a 1,600 square foot space for over a year. I think living like this is really hard, and I commend you for finding optimism, hope, and courage throughout this year. I found it interesting that you chose to talk about the concept of being guided by fire in your drash. That got me thinking about the four elements of Western culture: water, fire, air, and earth. These four elements were believed to be essential to life. Rabbi Chaim Vital, a great Kabbalist who lived in Sfat in the 15th century, writes that just as the world was created using four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, so too was each person was created using those same elements. For each individual, one particular element is dominant. I asked myself, which particular element is dominant for you, Maya? This is how I interpreted Rabbi Chaim Vital's take on four elements. Earth. Earth is low and heavy. It stays in one place, continuously stepped on and caught in gravity's domain. Water. Water spreads and goes everywhere. It takes on the contours of whatever vessel contains it. It goes with the flow, literally, naturally, unbound and unlimited, unrestricted. Air. Air is fluff, ephemeral, it blows one way and another, never fixed permanently. Fire. Fire tends to rise, the flames reaching up and out to conquer and consume. The positive aspect of this element is the desire to strive and accomplish, to reach great heights, to lead and take responsibility. So, which one are you, my Maya? You're ambitious, you're goal-oriented, you're determined, full of fire. And later, when you address this congregation, you will talk about how your portion relates to God as a pillar of fire. In Judaism, we believe each human is made in God's image. So today, lead us like fire and consume and conquer. This is who you are. I am so proud of you. When I see you, I believe anything is possible. We do change the world. Tikkun olam. Your power as a woman is endless. In the words of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you.
Yasher Koach, and beautifully done. One of you relating it to Torah, the other to a classic Yiddish tale reworked. So love the Jewish elements there. And so Angela, you go ahead and get your talit on as well, because you're going to be opening the ark. The parents do everything because of the way all the Torah has to be shared. There's no hakafa. She won't be walking around the room with the Torah. So everything's just a little bit modified. But we nevertheless do the full Torah service on page 195, beginning with Ein Kamocha.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai v'ein k'ma'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai melech Adonai yimloch le'olam v'ed Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Al ha'rachamim heitiv al yirtzoncha et Zion Tibnei chomot Yerushalayim Tibnei chomot Yerushalayim Ki b'chav lelabat achnu Melech el ram v'nisa Adon olamim.
All right, take your book and that microphone right there. We rise as we're going to go up to the bima at this time. All right, your mom's going to take the microphone and the Siddur. Your dad's going to take the Torah. Yeah, Maya step down off the steps. Thank you for, yeah, perfect. Don, yeah, right there, right there. Just get ready to receive it. Okay, put your hands down there. All right, go back and close the ark, you two, and then come back down again and for the Shema. We're on page 199.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shema.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shema. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני המלאכה, והמתנשא לכל ראש רוממו, 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 אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו, לאדם רגליו קדוש הוא, רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו, להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. All right, we may be seated. And we are going to turn in our Chumash, the other book that's in front of you, the Eitz Chaim burgundy-colored book, to page 821, chapter 9, verse 15. The Torah portion is called Ba'alotecha, as Angela mentioned. And at this synagogue, as in most conservative synagogues, we don't do the whole parsha, we do the triennial cycle, which means we read a third of each portion each year. And this year we're in all the middle thirds, which means the part that we're going to be talking about isn't Miriam and the gossip, nor the lighting of the menorah, nor the inverted nuns by heaping sow is actually in the portion, but the middle portion, which talks about the pillar of cloud by day, pillar of fire by night, as well as silver trumpets used for war and festivals to gather everybody together. That's the parts that we will be reading today. Many members of the family and friends will be called up for various honors, including the blessings, the aliyot. And I'm going to formally call the first ones today, which will be Maya's grandparents, Alana and Michael Favero. So you're going to come up in just a minute, and Maya is going to read this first portion. והזוהר וגן ושלח חוסים בו ונאמר אמן הכל וכבוד עלינו וכבוד לתורה יעמדו ראשון במקום כהן אילנה בת יהודית ומיכה בן אברהם ושרה ראשון במקום כהן ברוך שנתן תורה לעם ישראל בקדושתו ואתם רבים ברכם חיים כולכם היום. All right, Michael and Alana, come on up and stand right to the left of Maya. Right there. She'll literally point with the pointer to where you will stand. I know it's the opposite of the way we do it in non-COVID times. It has to do with the camera being able to see the Torah reader.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אתה אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Blessed Adonai, the Blessed One. Blessed is Adonai, the Blessed One, forever and ever. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has chosen us from all the peoples and given us the Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah.
Amen. Yom Hakim et HaMishkan Kisa Ha'anan et HaMishkan Le'ohel Ha'edut U'ba'erev Yeh Al HaMishkan Kemareh Shad Boker Ken Yeh Tamid Ha'anan Yachasenu U'marez Laila Ufi Ha'alot Ha'anan Me'al Ha'ohel Ve'acherechen Yisu B'nei Yisrael U'bimkom Asher Yishkon Sham Ha'anan Sham Yachanu B'nei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai Yisu B'nei Yisrael Ve'al Pi Adonai Yachanu Kol Yemei Asher Yishkon Ha'anan Al HaMishkan Yachanu.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who gave us the Torah of truth and planted eternal life within us. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah.
Yasher Koach. Right, so so normally we'd have you stay up, but we're going to have you sit down. Instead, we're going to call the second Aliyah and Torah readers. The second reading is chapter 9, verses 19 through 23. The people only broke camp when the cloud was lifted. For the second Torah reader, we call upon cousin Joe Blumberg, and for the Aliyah, Aunt Renat Engel and cousin Toya Blumberg. Ta'amdu Renat bat Michael Lev and Toya bat Eliyahu Yosef Sheni. Joe, go ahead and find your place.
אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
Amen. ובריחנה המשכן ימים רבים, ושמרו בני ישראל את משמר עיני ולא ייסעו. ויש אשר יהיינה ימים מספר המשכן, על פי אדוני יחנו ועל פי אדוני ייסעו. ויש אשר יהיינה מערב הבוקר ונעלהנה בבוקר ונעשהו. יומם ולילה ונעלהנן ונעשהו. או יומיים או חודש או ימים. בריחנה משכן ישכון עליו. יחנו בני ישראל ולא ייסעו. ובעלתו ייסעו. על פי אדוני יחנו ועל פי אדוני ייסעו. המשמר אדוני שמרו על פי אדוני ביד משה.
אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
Amen. Yasher Koach. Third Aliyah, chapter 10 now, verses 1 through 7 in the book of Numbers. Hatzotrot, the 2 silver trumpets made to summon the community. We call upon grandfather Marvin Engel for the Torah reading, and grandma and cousins Sarah Engel and Tamar Schuster. We need to get you some talit in just for this. There we go. Chapter 10, verses 1 through 7.
ואת אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, עשית לך שתי חצוצות כסף, מקשה תעשה אותם, יהיו לך למקרא העדה ולמסע את המחנות, ותקראו בהם, ונעלו אליך כל העדה אל פתח המועד. ואם באחד יתקעו ונראו אליך הנשיאים, ראשי אלפי ישראל, תקעתם תרועה, ונשאו המכונות, ותעשו לקדמם, והתקעתם התרועה שנית, ונשאו המחנות האחרונים תימנם, תרועה יתקעו למעשיהם, והכירו את הקהל, תקעו ולא הריעו ולא בני תביאו.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן לתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
Fourth Aliyah, verses 8 through 10, the idea that the trumpets are used in both festivals and at war. Marv, you're just going to move over a teeny bit because you have the next Aliyah. And for the Torah, we call upon cousin Max Kashno, Ya Amon, Michael ben David, Revi'i.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Amen. Uvnei Aharon HaKohanim Yitzkeu V'chatzot Zerot Sorry, let's not place there. Let me start from the top. Okay, go ahead. Okay. Uvnei Aharon HaKohanim Yitkeu V'chatzot Zerot V'hayu Lachem Lechukat Olam Ledorotechem V'chitavo Milchama Be'artechem Atzar Atzorer Tchem V'hareotem V'chatzot Zerot V'niskartem Livnei Adonai Elohechem V'noshetem Me'oivechem Uvnei Uvyom Simchatchem Uvmoadechem Urashi Chodshechem Utkatem V'chatzot Zerot Olotechem Ve'al Sivchei Shomechem V'hayu Lachem L'zikaron Livnei Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah tamet v'chayei olam notah b'tocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Yashikoah. 5th Aliyah, chapter 10, verses 11 through 20 in the book of Numbers, the review of the divisions and which tribe goes in which order during the march, starting with the tribe of Judah, Yehudah. For the 5th Torah reader, we call upon cousin David Cashnow, and for the 5th Aliyah, we call upon uncle and aunt Eric and Shani Cashnow. Ya Amdu Shoshana Michael Lev, Yosef Yaakov ben Israel Eliyahu Hamishi.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Vaed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayahi Bashana Hashini B'chodesh Hashini B'srim B'chodesh Na'ala Me'al Mishkan Ha'adut V'esu B'nei Yisrael L'masehem Mimidbar Sinai V'eshkon Ha'anan B'midbar Paran V'esu B'rishonah Al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe V'asa Degel Machane B'nei Yehuda V'rishona L'tzilotam V'al tzva'o Nachshon ben Aminadav V'al tzva Matei B'nei Yisachar Natanel ben Zuar V'al tzva Matei b'nei Zebulun Eliav ben Chelon V'hurat HaMishkan V'nasu b'nei Gershon Uvnei Merari Nase Hamishkan. I completely lost my spot.
Okay. And Asa, when you probably already know, you just can't find the word in there.
Benasa.
Degel Machane Ruvain.
But also, that's not it.
If you look for the names, you find Reuben, you'll be right by it. If you find...
Oh, yes. Benasa Degel Machane Ruvain Zibotam Ba'otzavo Elitzur Ben Shte'ur Ba'otzava Mate B'nei Shimon Shlumiel Ben Tzrishadai Ba'otzava Mate B'nei Gad Alisa Ben Duel.
Let's see after it.
Go on.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu haTorah.
Amen. Yashikoach. Of course, when a reader can't find the place, that's actually a sign of skill. I know it may not seem like it, but it absolutely is, because it means they're not doing it from memory. They're actually reading what's in the Torah. So usually so that kind of mistake actually shows the skill of the reader. So beautifully done. And you found it without me having to come over there and, with all the mask stuff. So beautifully done. All right, we are now on the 6th Aliyah, where Dad, Don Engel, is going to read. And this is going to be 21 through 28, more on the divisions and the marching orders. And we call upon friends Todd Siegel and Alicia Cernitz for the Aliyah. Ya'amdu, Reuven ben Leah, V'chana, V'chana, V'shabbat, Shlomo B'Dvorah, Shishi.
Oh, for them. Hi.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Elam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Elam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan v'torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. ונשאו הקהתים נושאי המקדש והקימו את המשכן עד בואם. ונשא דגל מחנה בני אפרים לצבאותם, ועל צבאו אלישמע בן עמיהוד, ועל צבא מטה בני מנשה גמליאל בן פדצור, ועל צבא מטה בני בנימין אבידן בן גדעוני. ונשא דגל מחנה בני דן, מאסף לכל המחנות לצבאותם, ועל צבאו אחיעזר בן עמישדי, ועל צבא מטה בני אשר פגיאל בן אוכרן, ועל צבא מטה בני נפתלי אחירה בן עינן. אלה מסעי בני ישראל לצבאותם וייסעו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Yeshikoach. And the 7th Aliyah, verses 29 through 34 in chapter 10. Moshe tries to get Hovav, who is probably Yitro, same guy, father-in-law, to go with them on the march, but and they need him because he knows the territory, essentially. For the 7th Aliyah, call upon Maya once again to read the Torah, and parents, Don and Angela, for the blessing. Yahamdu, Don ben Michael Lev, Shoshana bat Michal, Shvi'i.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamborah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher barcha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Vayomer Moshe lechovav bein Reuel hamijani chotein Moshe nosim anachnu el hamakom asher amar Adonai oto etem lachem lecha itanu v'hetavnu lach Adonai diber taho v'Yisrael v'yomer elav lo elech ki me'artzi ve'molati elech v'yomer al nat hazov otanu ki yakein yadata chanotenu b'midbar v'hayita lanu le'inayim v'haya ki telech imanu v'haya hatav hahu asher yitiv Adonai imanu v'hetavnu lach Vayisu mehar Adonai derech shloshet yamim varon brit Adonai nosaya livnehem derech shloshet yamim latur lahem menucha v'anan Adonai alehem yomam b'nos min ha'machaneh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Yasher Koach. All right, we rise briefly for the Chatzi Kaddish, and you can kind of roll the Torah to where your next part is, the Maftir. Yikra v'yikra shemei Rabba, Yomadi Rafirutei v'yamlich Malchutei B'chayei Chanu Yomecha, U'chayei Nechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, U'vizman Kariv Imberu, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Me'olam l'al me'omaya Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitbarach, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shmei Kudsha, Le'lam Yikol B'chata V'shirata, Shush B'chata V'nechemata, Ta'amiran V'alma, V'meru, Amen. We may be seated, and we turn now to the very end of the actual parsha for the Maftir reading. So that's going to be on page 835, Numbers chapter 12, verses 14 through 16. And we only get the end of this actually really interesting story about Moses and his wife, and maybe him having an affair, or maybe it's actually the original wife. We don't know. And Aaron and Miriam talking about that, and Miriam getting leprosy. So you have to look that up and read it on your own, or tune in next year when we cover the third part of the triennial. But that's the part that Maya is going to read as we formally call her now as a bat mitzvah. She's going to do the aliyah, the blessing, and the reading. Tamod, 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 Bacharat bat mitzvah, Maya bat Dan v'Shoshana, Maftir Chazak.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Adonai Notin HaTorah.
Amen.
Yomer Adonai Moshe ve'aviha Yaroch Yarak b'fanecha halo tikalehem shivat yamim tisager shivat yamim michutz l'machaneh ve'achar te'asef ותיסגר מרים מחוץ למחנה 7 ימים והעם לא נסע עד הסף מרים ואחר נסעו המחצרות ויחנו במדבר פרן. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher natan lanu Torah emet l'chayei olam natan b'tochneinu. Baruch Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Yashakoach. Right, so just sort of wrap that up for a, yeah, just right, just, that's perfect. As I'm going to recite a few Misha Barachs. First one for you and your reading and your becoming bat mitzvah. We'll be singing Simon Tov Mazel Tov later, but this is what we would have done at Minyan had we been in normal times. So first, Misha Barach for you. Find it though. Misha Barach Ten Abraham Tzak Verkosar Karach Havaleach Hu Yivarech Et Maya. Dan Shoshana, Shehil Mitzvot, Al Torah, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Shvareach, V'chiev, V'ren Liba, Liot Sholem, Imron Elecha, V'gog Torto, Lechet Bivrocha, V'lishma Mitzvotav, V'tim Techem, V'sechoto, V'nei Elohim V'adam, V'nomar, Amen. May the Lord bless your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leo. Leah, bless you, Maya, who has arrived at the age of Bat Mitzvah, and to be called to the Torah. May the Holy Blessed One guard you, give you life, grant grace upon your heart, in order to be wholehearted, studying Torah, walking in God's path, observing mitzvot, finding grace and enlightenment in the eyes of God, all people, friends, a very large family, community, and let us say, Amen. Amen. All right, Misha Barach for all who read. Misha Barach, Avoteinu Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Chavaleah, Hu Yivarech Et Kol Krim Asher Aluhu, Hayom Lichvot Makom Lichvot HaTorah, V'Lichvot HaShabbat HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yivarechotam Bit Mishpachotam, V'Yishlach Bracha, V'Chatzcha, V'Chol Aseh Yedeim, V'Kol Shechem, V'Nomar, Amen. And for those who are ill, we're thinking especially today of Scott Lawrence, Dahlia Bat Razel, Aslan Shlomo Natan Ben Nechama, Barbara Rose, Lou Burl, Yulia Oak, Arlene Miller, Pastor Karen Stepko, Karina Gola Bat Hadvi Yehuda Tzvi, Leah Hudit Bat Shena, Shabtai Dov Ben Shimon Moshe, Francis Block, Shraga Andel Ben Ruth, Manuel Ben Sara, Esther Malka Bat Sala, Ray Ranshaw, Missy Rosen, Albert Alter, Rosie Gurman, Leah Bat Shimon Lazar, Bob Rasters, Justin Hardy, Yechiel Ben Eliza, Julia Maldonado, Eva Abrams Heimowitz. If any other names of those you're thinking of, why don't you just say them to yourself at this time? Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah Uyivarech V'Rapeh Et HaCholim Elna Rifana Lahem Elna Rifana Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak V'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah Uyivarech V'Rapeh Et HaCholim. May God bless and heal all those who are sick, and may we continue to be with them in their time of need. Now, Angela, for a moment, if you would just leave your seat and go sit next to Rachel, we're going to use that for the Hagban Galila to sit down for a moment. And so we are going to call cousin and uncle, Maxime Joseph and Fabio Baum, for... Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yes, they're both uncles. Yeah, you can go sit for like 2 seconds. And we all rise for the Hagban Galila. Yamod Hamagbiya, Yamod Hagolel. You can walk into that chair over there. Vezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai B'Yad Moshe Eitz Chaim Hi L'Machazikim Ba'Beto Ke'Hameushar Eitz Chaim Hi L'Machazikim Ba'Beto Ke'Hameushar Derachei Atarchei Noah בכל נתיבותיה שלום, דרכיה דרכי נועם, בכל נתיבותיה שלום, יאי לי לי, יאי לי לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לי We're going to take that to this stand right here, which is not the easiest one to work, but hopefully figure it out. You'll see there's a little foot there for it. A little bell. You almost got it. There we go. Put the yod on. All right. And we can be seated. And we're going to turn to page 837 in our Chumash, or it's time for the Haftarah. Page 837, which comes from Zechariah. It is the same Haftarah that we read on Hanukkah. It parallels the part of the Torah portion with the menorah, the lights. But it's probably most famous for its end, which has a couple very famous statements. One is Chen Chen La, how beautiful, how beautiful. The other is not by might, not by power, but by God's Spirit, which Debbie Freeman made into a song where we do silly motions and the like. When Maya is done chanting the Haftarah and its blessings, we're going to rise and we're going to sing Siman Tov and Basel Tov. We're going to clap to the rhythm of the, of the song, increasing the joy in this room. And since we have this wonderful part of our family today here is Mizrahi, I guess what they call ululate, which is just all kinds of fun, screaming, shouting kinds of things. So feel free to do that as our Mizrahi Middle Eastern Jewish tradition, and Jews from Iraq, Iran, Morocco, places like that. That's part of their tradition too. All right, so Maya, here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nbiim tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah u'Moshe abdo u'Yisrael amo u'Benbiyei ha'emet v'tzedek roni v'simchi b'Tzion ki hineni ba v'shachanti v'tochech ne'um Adonai v'nilvu Goyim Rabim El Adonai Bayom Hahu V'hayu li le'aham V'shachanti v'tochech V'yodat Ki Adonai tzivot Shelachani elayich V'nachal Adonai et Yehuda Chelko Al Admat HaKodesh Ubachar Od B'Yerushalayim Hashko Basar Mipnei Adonai Ki Neor Mimon Kodsho V'yareini Et Yehoshua HaKohen HaGadol Omed Lifnei Malach Adonai ve'asatan omer al yamino lesino va'yomer Adonai et hasatan yigar Adonai becha hasatan yigar Adonai becha habocher b'Yerushalayim halozehud mutzamesh v'hoshua haya lavush begadim zoim ve'omed lifnei hamalach Rayan Rayomer El Hamdim Lefanav Lemor Hasiru Habegadim Hatzorim Me'alav Vayomer Elav Rehaivarti Me'alecha Avonecha Ve'halvesh Otcha Machalat Tzahot Va'omar Yasimu Tzani Tahor Arosho Vayasimu Hatani Patahor Arosho Vayabishuhu Begadim Umalach Adonai Omer Vayad Malach Adonai Behoshua Lemor Koamar Adonai Tzivot Im B'Tochai Telech Ve'im let Mishmarti Tishmor Ve'gam Ata Tadin et Beiti Ve'gam Tishmor et Chatzerai V'natati Lecha Malachim Ben Hamdim Ha'ele Shemana Yehoshua HaKohen HaGadol Ata Bereha Hayoshvim Lefanecha Ki Anshe Mofet Hema Ki Hinenim Mevi Et Avdi Tzemach Ki Hineh Ha'eben Asher Natati Lifnei Yehoshua Aleben Achad Shiva Einayim Hineni Mevatayach Pitucha Ne'um Adonai Tzevot Umashti Et Avon Haratahi B'yom Echad Vayahom Hahu Ne'um Adonai Tzevot Tikra'u Ish L'rehu Al Tachat Gefen Vel Tachat Enaha Vayashov Hamalach Adover Bi Vayireni Ke'ish Asher Ye'or Mishnato Vayomer Elai Ma'ata Roeh Va'omar Ra'iti V'hineh Menorat Zahav Kula V'gula Rosha V'shiva Neroteha Aleha Shiva V'shiva Mutzakot Lenerod Asher Rosha Ushnayim Zeitim Aleha Echad Mimin Harula Vechad Al Shmola Vayam Valmar El Hamalach Hadover Bi Lemor Mata Adonim Vayan Hamalach Hadover Bi Vayomer Elai Halo Yadata Mahema Ela Vaumar Lo Adoni Vayan Vayomer Elai Lemor Zet Devar Adonai El Zerubbabel Lemor Lo V'chayil V'lo V'choach Ki B'uchi Amar Adonai Tzvaot מעתה הגדול לפני זרובבל למישור והוציא את האבן הרשע תשועות חן חן לה ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם צור כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות האל הנאמן העומד ויוסע המדבר עם חיים שכל דבריו באמת הצדק נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ונאמנים דבריך ודבר אחד מדבריך אחר לא ישוב ריקם כי המלך נאמן ורחמן אתה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הנאמן בכל דבריו רחם על ציון כי היא בית חיינו ולעלו בנפש תושיע במהרה בימינו ברוך אתה אדוני ושמח ציון בבניך שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו באליהו הנביא עבדך ובמלכות בית אבי משיחך במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו על גיסו לא ישב זר ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני מגן דוד על התורה והעבודה והחנבים ביום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך וברכים אותך יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת
so beautiful, and so was the potted celebration of dancing in the front row. All right, so we're now going to turn to some of the additional prayers, beginning with the prayer for Israel. We use our prayers right now, and that's going to be the Shustef kids, so come on up. Yep, we're going to bring that up for you too. Just these two? Yeah. Not the other two. Okay.
אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגאלה, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחה גאולתנו, הגן עליה, בעברת חסדך, ופרוסריה סוכות שלומך.
ושלח אורך ועמיתך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה ותקנם בעצה טובה מלפניך. חזק את ידי מגיני ארץ קדשנו, והנחילם אלוהינו ישועה, ועטה את ניצחון תיאטרם ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה ונאמר אמן.
Amen. Shikoah. The next one, it is a prayer for our country. It's not the one in the book. We call upon Maya's aunt, Melissa Favero, and she's going to go up there, and she's going to read The Hill We Climb, the Amanda Gorman poem, which was made famous at the inauguration of President Joe Biden.
This is an excerpt from The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and that norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet, the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country in a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but this doesn't mean we're striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so that we can reach our arms out to one another. We seek to harm none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we are to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb if only we dare it. Because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth and this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left.
Yashua. Prayer for peace now. Tanta Lisa Finkelstein.
May it be your will before you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, to abolish wars and the spilling of blood from this world, and continue great peace and miracles in the world, so that the nation will not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they study war anymore, so that they will come to recognize and know, all who dwell on earth, the singular truth that we have not come into this world for dispute and conflict, nor for hatred, jealousy, provocation, or bloodshed.
All right, Ashrei, page 231. We call upon Maya along with cousin Joe and great longtime family friend since birth, Camilla Schwartz. 231.
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yehalu chasela. Tefila leDavid, aromincha Elochai hamelech, ve'arecha shimcha le'olam va'ed. Gadol Adonai hu me'od, ve'li gdulato ein heker. Hadar ke'od hotecha, ve'divrei torotecha asicha. Zechera tucha yaviu, ve'sitkatecha yiranenu. Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachaman al kol masav. Kavod Adonai malchutecha yomeru, u'v'ratecha yidaberu. Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshotecha b'chol dor v'dor. E'enei kol elecha yisaberu, ve'ata noten lachem etochlam be'ito. Tzadik Adonai b'chol diracha, v'chasid b'chol ma'asav. Ritzon Yerav Yaseh, ve'et Shabbatam yishma ve'yoshiyem. Tehila Adonai yedaber pi, yivarech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'ed. Anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah.
Yasher Koach, we rise to return to the sacred Torah to the ark. Don, Angela, help Maya. Alu et Shem Adonai, Kiniskav, Shem Odevado, Odo al Eretz, V'shamayim, V'yarem, Keren le'amo, Lihila lechol chasidav, Livnei Yisrael, Am Kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Actually, you'll need the Siddur to hold for Mizmor David. I messed up the special order we had, so go ahead and grab that. It is on 235. Just do that right? Yeah. One more up. Yeah, one more up. Not in the middle of the stairs.
Mizmor leDavid, Havulat Adonai, Havulat Adonai Kavavos, Havulat Adonai Shuvot Shemo, Yishtachavu Adonai v'Hadra Kodesh, Kol Adonai al Hamayim, El HaKavod Yirim, Adonai al Mayim Rabim, Kol Adonai Ba'Koach, Kol Adonai Behadar, Kol Adonai Shomer Arazim, Vayishaber Adonai et Artei Alano, Vayar Kedem Kemo Egel, Levanon V'Sirion, Kemo Ben Reimim, Kol Adonai Chosed Lavot Eish, Kol Adonai Yafil Midbar, Yafil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Yechol Elai Alot, Vayechesof Yerod, Uvechalav Kulo Merkavod, Adonai Lamabudah, Shabayesh Adonai Melech Leolam, Adonai Oz Le'amo Yitein, Adonai Yevarech et Amo V'Shalom.
Go ahead and open the ark, and then Dawn, you'll take the Torah out of her hands and. Ki lekatov natati lachem torati al ta'azovu et vayini lemachazikima betoche hamerushar v'rachei darchei Noah v'chol divotecha shalom ashivenu Adonai And Maya, it's now time to interpret the Torah portion for us, giving us the draw of the sermon of the morning.
What are you looking forward to after COVID? What gives you the hope and the will to move forward through this crazy pandemic we're living in? Imagine you just crossed the Red Sea. You're dancing and singing, but then you wonder, what happens next? After wandering in the desert, you start to lose hope and faith that you'll get to the promised land. But you remember that God is with you, and if you have hope, if you have faith, you'll get there. You'll get to the promised land. My parsha is called Behalotecha and comes from Numbers 9 and 10. It's about God as a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire, silver trumpets, and the marching and order of the various tribes. I want to focus on God being a pillar of fire at night and cloud at day. The Torah says the cloud appeared as fire at night. This makes me think that the fire was always there, but it was special, for only at night would it look like fire. Whether it was fire or cloud, where the pillar went, the children of Israel followed. Where it stopped, they set up camp and rested. At first, I thought that the children of Israel had a time of day they'd walk, or a time they'd rest. For example, when night fell, they'd set up camp, and when day broke, they'd get up and walk. I quickly learned this was not the case. Sometimes it would take a while for them to move again, but as soon as the cloud was raised from the tabernacle, they left. As the Torah states, whether it were 2 days or a month or a year, that the cloud stayed on the tabernacle, the children of Israel remained encamped and didn't travel, but when it was taken up, they traveled. At the command of the Lord they encamped, and at the command of the Lord they journeyed. Rabbi Michael Gold talks about light, saying, light is a powerful metaphor, used not only in Judaism, but in many other spiritual traditions. Plato, in his famous allegory of the cave, spoke about the light that shines, creating the reflection on the wall. Light as the ultimate reality. Even in our modern language, when we speak of some kind of human understanding, we say that someone saw the light. Cartoonists use a light bulb, going on to symbolize an idea. Light is a metaphor for God, Spirit, and the soul. It's also used when the Torah is praised by God. We parade around singing Torah, Ora, Torah, Ora, Hallelujah, or in other words, the Torah is a light. Most of the things I do are inspired by people around me. My family, my friends, even people I see on the street have an effect on what I do. I find it so inspiring to see people playing music on the sidewalk when I walk along downtown Oakland after school. During the BLM protests, people made paintings all over wooden boards outside stores and restaurants. The fact that people keep doing what they do, that makes me smile. You could even say, I see the light during these troubling times. Light and fire are similar. Fire sheds light, and light can take the form of fire. This brings me to my next question. Why fire? Why clouds? We can't really know if it was a cloud or not, but what we can infer is that the children of Israel were following something. Was it really God? Maybe, maybe not. But if a cloud stayed in the same place for a year, I wouldn't think it was normal either. Why fire? Well, throughout the Torah, fire has been a symbol for God. There was the burning bush, the miracle with the menorah, which we have both symbols here in the TVA sanctuary, and so on. Fire is also good for warmth and will shed light so you're able to see. I looked for a deeper meaning and with help found my favorite. I believe fire symbolizes hope. We are moving toward the light, not the darkness. We find the good and move forward. There are so many things, especially during COVID, that we can hope for. We hope for a day we can travel and see family. We wait for a day to go back to school or work, restaurants and shows, and most of these things be God. After over a year of quarantine, we're now able to go sit outside and see people with masks. Vaccines are being distributed, kids are starting to return to school, and we're finding ways to do things through technology. We are moving forward. The fire is always there, but like the cloud, things cover it up. You may feel you are in time of despair where there is no hope, but there might just be a cloud covering it up, making things feel impossible. It will get better, and once you can see the hope, the fire, things start to make sense. Sometimes we need rest. Sometimes we get stuck, and that's why God waits. God is in all of us, in our spirits and our souls, giving us a chance to rest, but realizing that we cannot stay stuck forever, and then we move again. We must continue to push through. We must continue to walk forward, following hope, following the fire. As a part of the Holocaust Remembrance Project, today we remember Ida Papanovsky, who passed away at age 8 in a concentration camp. She was born in Ukraine in 1933 and passed away in 1941. I believe it is very important to remember and respect everyone who survived those times and everyone who didn't. Those who did survive had to have the will and hope and had to believe they would get out. So that brings me back to my first question. What gave them the hope? What gives you hope? Though we can't even begin to compare these times to those, the element of will and hope is always there. It gives us an appreciation for what we do have and what we don't. It gives us insight into different circumstances. It is very important to be grateful for what we have and the possibilities made available to us during COVID. What gives me the hope, the will? I'd have to say seeing you all again. Even a month ago, I didn't know if I'd have more than 30 people at my bat mitzvah. And seeing everyone here gives me great hope for the future. Almost everyone here is half or fully vaccinated, and I think that's incredible, don't you? I'd like to thank my Ima for helping me through my life thus far, and really doing all the scheduling and the work to make sure everything gets done. I love you. Thank you. I'd like to thank my Abba. You are one of a kind, and your sense of humor is never boring. I love you. Thank you. I want to thank my sisters, Anita and Raquel. You two drive me crazy, but I love you anyway. Thanks for keeping me on my toes. Thank you to all my cousins. Whether you're here or not, you're still the best. I love you all so much. You are beyond awesome. Thank you. Thank you to my grandparents. Saba. I never have to wonder where my Abba got his humor from, because it was obvious from day one that it was you. I learned something every time I'm with you. You really are incredible. Dearest Tata, every time I'm at your house, I have the time of my life. You are amazing. The amount of care for everyone and the love you share is like no other. G-Daddy, where to begin? You are a lot of fun. I can proudly say there's no one I'd rather bike with or go to a water park with than you. You will always have a special place in my heart. Beloved Safta, you brighten my day when I see you. You always seem to know what to say and do, and being with you is always fun. If I had to pick a word to describe being with you, it would be relaxing. And I know there's nothing you like more than going on a nice walk. You are all more special to me than you'll ever know. I always look forward to seeing you and being with you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you to all my aunts and uncles. Yes, our family is huge, but it makes it all the more enjoyable. You are all so much fun to talk to and be around. I love you. Thank you to my friends from Hebrew school and from somewhere else. Y'all are pretty cool. Thank you to my Tante Lisa. You did so much to help with my bat mitzvah, from ordering things, making planned arrangements, and even making sure the cupcakes get to the after party. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you to Rabbi Bloom and Susan Simon and all my past Hebrew school teachers. You helped my Hebrew education so much, and because of you, I will continue to love and grow in my Judaism. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Lastly, thank you to everyone who couldn't be here, but is joining us over YouTube today. Thank you so much for supporting me. Shabbat Shalom.
All right, Maya, just stay right where you are, Yasher Koach. And we are going to call upon the president of the congregation, David Goodwin, who is going to present you with some gifts.
Well, Maya, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. Thank you for your wisdom. And thank you for your enthusiasm. And what's so perfect about the combination of all of this is today was the first day that we've been allowed to sing at a Shabbat service. So there's a bag down there. In the pre-COVID world, I would have taken the items out one by one, but I'm not going to do that. However, on behalf of the congregation, the women of TBA, and the men's club, we have gifts for you, and we wish you Mazal Tov.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David. And one of the gifts that is in there is a dreidel, I want to point out, because it's almost time for you to join Open BBG, Dreidel AZA, our BBOL local youth group chapters. And so now I have just a few more words for you. I mean, I want to once again repeat the last words of the Haftarah. Chen Chen La. How beautiful. What a beautiful day. What beautiful davening, the way you led us. Just incredible. And we could feel God's presence in the room with you leading us in prayer. And so I want to talk about two pieces of the Torah portion that relate to you and your family in the day. So I want to talk about the silver trumpets because they represent, well, they represent festival and battle and calling together, but they also represent music, right? They're trumpets. And I don't remember a time when you weren't lending beauty to our congregation through your music. When we start today, working backwards, right? So today with this just incredible davening, Haftarah, Torah, Shachri, just so beautiful. And for a short while, until COVID came in, the four of you together, along with Camilla and Solomon and Aaron, leading Shachri in our office. And Raina didn't even shut my door. She liked the music so much that was coming from my office for you. And then with BBA, right, with you and your buddy Camilla and the kids who are 1 year older than you, lending us your beautiful music then. And then I even remember when your parents were actually the leaders of our Shabbat Mishpacha program, but really you were the leader of the Shabbat Mishpacha program. You were like all of 5 or 6 helping with, with Anita and Rachel eventually, and you were just up there belting it out in front of everyone, just so confident, and it was pure. And then, as we discovered on the day of your rehearsal, I found that gem that showed up on my Facebook page with you with your little guitar yelling, Mini Mac, Mini Mac, Mini, Mini, Mini Mac, Mini, whoa, right? So you've always done that, and you're going to do more. I can promise you, or at least you're going to be called upon to do more, begged to do more. But you're a giving human being, right? So I'm sure you're going to do it because you give of yourself so much. And that beauty that you express through music, that Chen La, is also on the inside too. You feel things very deeply, you're very passionate about causes, about other people. And as you parse through your Torah portion and the davening, the sincerity is there because you actually know what some of the words mean, right? Because of your Hebrew background. So it's just an incredible thing to see. So that's represented by the silver trumpets. On the second piece, the marching divisions, right? Tribe by tribe, family by family. That represents your incredibly large family. And I know there's only 50 people in the room today because that's all we would allow. But your family who's watching in Minneapolis especially, and your grandparents who have visited many times over the years, and then the entire the Pharaoh side and the entire Angle clan. I mean, I remember we had a retreat that we did to Camp Newman, and we were worried we might not get enough people, but I think there were 25 people in your family that signed up, and they led the Torah, they read the Torah. Andrew's one of the people, your mom planning the things. She said, I promise I'll get people. So Snapper family, it's just such a pleasure to have that atmosphere brought to our synagogue once again. I met your parents when they wandered in as a kind of a force of nature before they were married, and I got to do their wedding at Postino restaurant, I think it was, in Lafayette. And we can't all keep up with their energy, right? There's a lot. But what amazing things you've brought to our congregation through the women of TBA and through Shabbat Mishpacha and running the auction and just all the friends that you have gathered together that have become part of your circle. And so, Maya, you're such a huge part of that too, such a huge part of our community. Let the silver trumpets continue to blow. Let your music out. Let the marching divisions continue as you add to our tribe. And also, though, most importantly, as you said, let us be led by the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire and the fire of hope that you brought to us today and will continue throughout the years to come. Mazel tov once again. And if we were non-COVID, my hands would be on your head right now. Just have to pretend. Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Adonai v'navelecha v'yikunecha. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisad Adonai v'navelecha v'yisem lecha shalom. May God lift the divine face toward you and grant you peace. Amen. All right. I love how much you're enjoying yourself today, but no sigh of relief because you're now going to lead us in the Musaf service. Please rise, page 239.
Yitkada v'yitkada shmei rabba v'yamad yibrach v'yirteh v'yamlech machiteh v'chayech v'nugya u'mechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman kari b'imeru Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam Maya Yibarach, Vishtabach, Vipar, Vitramam, Vinase, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalau, Shmei Kudishav, Leila, Minko, Berchata, Vishirata, Tushbechata, Venechemata, Damiran, Beoma, Bimeru, Amen. Adonai, Sibitati Tahu, V'yagita Hilatecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu, V'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot, Umevi Goel Imnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin. Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekin Abraham, Ufokei Tzara, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Metim Atarav Lehoshia. Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei Metim Berachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim Berovech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayei Memunato, Lishenei Afar, Michalocha Bal Givurot, Umidol Melach, Melech Memid, Umechayei, Umatziach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah L'chachayot Meitim. Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaMeitim. Na'aritzecha v'na'tishecha k'sotziach sarvei kodesh hamavdishim shimcha b'kodesh kagatu v'yad neviyecha v'karazeh el zeh ve'amar kadosh 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 Adonai tzivot melech haaretz kevodo Kivadel Malay Olam, Sharta Shoalim Zilatay, Bekom Kivadel, Leimata Baruch Yomeru, Baruch Hevod Adonai, Mikomo, Hu Yifen Berachamim, Ve'achonam Hamyachadim Shemo, Erev Avoker Bechol Yom Tamid. Pamayim be'ahava Shema Omrim, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu Ve'hu Yachmienu Brachamav Sheni Le'nei Kol Chai Sheni Le'nei Kol Chai L'hyot Lachem L'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem U'divrei Kodshecha Katuv Le'mor Yimloch Adonai Le'olam Elohai Yichzion L'dor v'dor Hallelujah L'dor v'dor L'dor v'dor L'dor v'dor Nagi God Lecha L'dor v'dor L'dor v'dor L'dor v'dor Nagi God Lecha U'lenetzach netzachim U'lenetzach netzachim Kedushatecha Nagdish V'shivchacha Eloheinu Mipinu lo yamush Le'olam le'olam ba'ed L'dor v'dor L'dor v'dor L'dor v'dor Nagi God Lecha L'dor v'dor L'dor v'dor L'dor v'dor Nagi God Lecha Ki Amelech Gadol Gadol V'kadosh Gadol V'kadosh Atah Ki Amelech Gadol Gadol V'kadosh Gadol V'kadosh Atah Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
And we continue silently, pages 247 through 258.
Page 259. Yitgadal v'yikdash me'rabah ve'amad yirach yirteh v'yamlech malchuteh v'chayachonu yom achonu v'chayedecho beit Yisrael v'agalav yizlan kari v'yimeru Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'olam olam le'omaya yitbarach Vipari Tramam Vinase, Vitadai, Vitale, Vitalas, Vedakudasha, Brilu. Lami Koberchata Vashirata, Chishbechata Nechemata Dami Ran Rama Imberu. Tika Baal Satachonu, Utachon Decho Yisrael, Kodamu Hundi Bishmaya Imberu. Yehe Shabaraba Min Shemaya, Bechayim Aleinu Velko Yisrael Imberu. Asay Shalom Imama, Yasay Shalom, Aleinu Velko Yisrael, Velko Yisrael Tevel Imberu. Amen.
All right, we're going to stay up there, but we're going to invite your siblings. It's time for Anita and Raquel to come up for Ein Eloheinu, page 261. Thanks, Mike.
Ein Eloheinu, Ein Eloheinu, Ein Eloheinu, Ein Moshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Moshienu, Node Eloheinu, Node Adonenu, Node Eloheinu, Node Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Aleinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shetir, Lavotenu, Levadecha, Ketorah Gasavi.
All right, please rise for the Aleinu and give it to your cousins as well.
Aleinu Meshabeach Ladon HaKol, Latin Gedula Le'Yotzer Bereshit, Shelo Asanu Kilyei HaRatzon, Velo Samanu Mishpachot HaAdama, Shelo Samcho Kinyukahem, Velo Aleinu Gebo Hamona, V'anachnu Korim, U'mishtachavim U'modim, L'ifnei Melech Malchei HaMalchim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Nati Shamayim Ve'yoser Haaretz, U'mashem Karo B'Shamayim Ima'ah, U'shkinatu Zo, U'shkinatu Zo, Ve'gam Le'Meromi. Hu Eloheinu, Le'Enon, Eloheinu, Epezulato, Kakatu, V'Torato, V'dat Hayom, V'hat Shabbat, Elevavecha, Adonai, Elohim, B'Shamayim Ima'ah, V'yal ha'aretz, V'yal ha'aretz, Mitavad, Eino, Eino. V'na'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech Chol ha'aretz, V'yom ha'hu, V'yom ha'hu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, U'shemo, U'shemo echad.
All right, we may be seated. And by the way, that candy is not for throwing here, it's for eating. So you eat it. If you don't want to eat it, give it to a kid and they'll have 2 or 3. All right, so I would like everyone to be seated. Maya, you can sit for just a couple minutes as well.
I'm supposed to stand for the Remembrance Project.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you can go by your parents. All right, so we're going to turn the camera to me as we lovingly recall the memory of our departed relatives and friends who, Yortsites we observed during the coming week. We're thinking especially today of Elias Ilion, Lee Aronson, Ida Nathan Barnett, Lena Bernstein, Sidney Boglovsky, Celia Block, Coleman Bloomfield. And I know Leon was watching at least last night, and I want to may the memory be a blessing to you, Leon, but also a mazel tov on your son, who bears his namesake, Cole Bloomfield, who graduated from Vanderbilt University this past week. Haya Blumenkrantz, Ed Callahan, Jenny Epstein, Anne Frankel, Max Frey, Florence Wolfson-Glick, Kenneth Gordon, Louis Gottesman, Albert Gould, Harry Hankin, Bernice Hanno, Aryeh Heber, Lina Kobuchaskaya, Raymond Mogul, Rose Poltz, Leon Siegel, Helen Singerman, Celia Slavsky, Harry Sussman, Morris Weiss, Jack Wolf, Maurice Aaron Ziegler. And we are in the Shiva, the 7-day mourning period for Dina Aronson, one of the loveliest people you will ever meet. Steve, our thoughts are most definitely with you. We ask all those who are in mourning or observing Yortzeit, anyone else who wishes to, you can rise from the mourner's Kaddish. It is on page 267. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'almad yivrach yerutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayichon v'yomechon v'chayedechol beit Yisrael, v'agalau b'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'vorach le'olam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha barichu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran v'yalma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imruma v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may the memory of the people that you're thinking of today be a blessing to you always, and let us say Amen. So a few announcements. Essentially, next week, next Saturday, Sarah Gore becomes bat mitzvah. I want to thank all the Torah readers and all those who participated in the service, of course, especially to Maya, Yasher Koach, once again, just incredibly done today. We are very proud of you. We have a fundraiser going on in the synagogue as well, which is basically you pay a whole bunch of money for a pizza. So that's pretty much it. So in case you remember the congregation are watching, or if some of you want to make a donation, we couldn't have an auction this year. One of the event, which is really one of our biggest events, and as I mentioned, Angela planned it one year, it was tons of fun. We couldn't do it, just wouldn't work well during COVID. So instead, what we're doing is we are asking you to make a donation in lieu of the auction. But you're not just going to get nothing, you get a pizza. Right, so the minimum is $36, and which is the cost of pizza is less than that. Of course, we're going to get a gift card to Philomena, a local pizza place in Oakland, owned by the director of our preschool, Rachel Fenves and her husband. But you could, of course, that just makes you a pizza delivery person. If you donate, a certain amount, you're a pizza tosser or you're a pizza chef. So there's all these categories. And anyway, you'll get a gift card for that pizza. I hope you will participate as it's our important spring fundraiser. So that's pretty much it for now. If you're wondering, when are we going to fully open up? We're waiting for the governor, but that means it's likely to happen in a few weeks. And by fully open up, I mean we won't have a reservation system. We'll allow you to sit wherever you want. We'll allow you to sing out loud. But, it's not going to be totally normal yet. There won't be child care. There won't be kiddish lunches yet. We're getting there. Gradually. All right. Now, we have two closing songs today, and the reason we have two closing songs is a long time ago we started planning for the bat mitzvah, wherever the first date was, the second date now, or the third date, but whatever it was, we were at least going to do some beautiful music Friday night, and maybe Glibier, and maybe parts of the band, we don't know, Don playing the bass, Dad on the bass, so we couldn't do that, and we don't like to use musical instruments on Saturday mornings with the davening. We want to maintain that traditional feel, but so that's why we're going to do two closing songs. The first one, it's going to be Maya and her cousin Joe. They're going to sing Oseh Shalom. He's going to play his guitar, and that's the first one. So Joe, go ahead and go bring your guitar down and. And then I'll play the second one right after the first one. This is just the traditional Oseh Shalom. You think it's like hundreds of years old. It's from the 1968 Israeli Song Contest, Nurit Hirsch, but it's the one you know as the traditional one.
You got it? Oseh Shalom b'Rama, Uyaseh
Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Ve'imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael.
All right, and finally, we are going to call upon Camilla Schwartz, who's going to come up and lead Hallelu Avdei Adonai, the Iraqi Jewish tune, along with Maya. Cantor Kaplan was his specialty. And I hope, Maya, when you get home or tomorrow, whenever it's there, you're going to read the chat
Yes,
on all the Mazel Tov Shu. And I also want to point, you're always the first one to wish all your classmates Mazel Tov on the chat every week. So we really appreciate that too. So now it's your turn, those who aren't here anyway, to wish her Mazel Tov. And if you are here after the service, you can wish her Mazel Tov.
All right. Hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Adir, Adirim, Adirim, Hulal Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Baruch, 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 Hulal Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Gadol, Gidolim, Gadolim, Hulal Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Dagol, Digolim, Dagolim, Hulal Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Batik, Batik, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Batik, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Zakai, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Kadun, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Tahor, Tehor, Tahor, Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Yashar, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Kabir, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Gomez, Ranzanina, Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Melech, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Navo, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Sono, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Sono, Sono, Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Sono, Sono, Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Tzadi, 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 Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Kadosh, Kadosh, Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Rahman, Rahman, Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Shor, Shor, Mikveh, Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah, Tzad, Tzad, Mikveh, Adonai, hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai, hallelujah,
Shabbat Shalom, Mazel Tov, Yasher Tov.
Shabbat Shalom.
And please be safe and careful out there.
Thank you all for coming so much.
Okay, the sun is finally shining. Thank you. So that means